Welcome to the Ultimate Music Teacher's Productivity and Profitability Podcast. I'm your host, Glory St. Germain. Tune in to discover how you can unleash your teaching potential and turn your passion for music education into profit. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 1 of the Ultimate Music Teacher's Productivity and Profitability Podcast. I am so excited to share the stories of amazing musicians and educators that share their passion for music and provide students with the building blocks of creativity to enhance their musicianship skills. I'm Glory St. Germain, and your host in the podcast. And I am so excited because today I'm going to share my personal story of humble beginnings as a 16-year-old piano teacher to becoming the founder and CEO of the internationally acclaimed Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Academy. So how did I go from being a music teacher to becoming an author, to becoming a publisher, to course creator, to TEDx speaker, and to become a global music education entrepreneur, now in 37 countries? Well, here's my story. First, I started out as a music teacher at the age of 16. And why I wanted to become a music teacher was, honestly, I wanted to buy a car. That was it. That was my whole reason. Babysitting back in the day paid 50 cents an hour, and teaching piano paid $5 an hour. So needless to say, teaching it was. So making $5 an hour, I knew I'd get to buy a car a lot faster than making 50 cents an hour as a babysitter. The thing is that I actually fell in love with teaching and it became my passion. I loved my students and I realized how I could be more profitable at my teaching business than my friends were at their babysitting business. And yes, I bought my first car and I paid cash. So my entrepreneurial journey began. However, there would be obstacles to a little problem that showed up a little later in my life because I didn't take the babysitting courses and I didn't babysit. So stay tuned for that story. Now, back to where I was. My parents, both multi-instrumentalists, they encouraged me to continue my music education, and I often used it to my advantage. Some of you might relate to this. I avoided doing the dishes after dinner because I would rush to the piano and I would practice instead. And as I was learning my piano and, I was practicing every day. And one of the things is we couldn't afford a metronome. And my dad would tap his yellow pencil on the piano, on the brown wooden piano. And there was actually a dent in the piano from his tapping every single day as I was practicing. And I love that dent. I can still feel the dent on the piano. And it just reminds me of all the dedication my father had, not only as a musician in sharing his passion, but just supporting me as a child in my learning. And my dad used to say to me, it doesn't matter if you play a wrong note now and then, but always stay in time. And so rhythm was his passion. Now, growing up, our family reunions were more like a big jam session as everyone had to play an instrument of some kind. It was just not an option in my family. It was kind of like brushing your teeth. You are playing an instrument because you are in the family. So as a self-made entrepreneur, there were many lessons to be learned. And after I got married to my amazing husband, and yes, of course, he was a musician, right? He, in fact, is in the Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame. He's a recording artist and an extraordinary singer, songwriter. And I actually fell in love with his voice. And then life had a few surprises for me. My husband, Ray, came with a ready-made family of 3 children who are all singers as well. And we enjoyed many, many family adventures together. And the family performed together for many, many years. Well, then I had my first child, David, and my life changed. So remember how I skipped the babysitting classes and became a music teacher instead? Well, when my son was born, they simply handed me my newborn son at the hospital and said, "Oh, congratulations, Glory, you're a mom." And I was like, uh-oh, now what do I do? So thankfully, my parents lived close by to save the day. And the musical influence continued as my son, and shortly thereafter, my daughter Sherry was born, and the teaching continued. And David and Sherry both play multiple instruments to this day. They both sing, they both recorded music, and have become entrepreneurs in their own business. And they've also been part of the Ray St. Germain Family Show. You can check them out on the YouTube channel, Ray St. Germain Family Show. They're amazing, and you'll see all of our kids and grandchildren. Now, as I was teaching, I realized that in order to grow my business, I needed to continue my own professional development. And I returned to my studies as an adult, and I achieved my ARCT, which is the Associate Royal Conservatory of Music Teacher's Diploma. I was super, super, super proud. My parents were there when I performed, my music in preparation for my diploma. And my father actually passed away the day that my diploma came in the mail. And so it was a difficult time for me because, he knew that I had passed. My mark was given to me. So we had a tiny celebration, but we weren't actually planning a big party until I had my certificate and I could frame it in gold and hang it on the wall. So it remained in the certificate tube for a while. Eventually I did hang it up on the wall, but it was really my father that was my greatest influence, and my mother who was my greatest supporter in knowing that in order to be the best, you need to keep learning. And I was passionate about becoming the best teacher that I could. And as I was teaching, I realized, my students lacked the music theory foundation that is honestly essential for all musicians. I mean, seriously, you cannot play an instrument or even sing for that matter if you don't have a basic understanding of music theory. And I took full responsibility for that. And I thought, it's time. It's time for me to elevate my teaching once again. So I wrote my first 3 ultimate music theory books. And yes, I became an author. Woohoo! So becoming an author is exciting. However, there's a but here. But the next step is getting your books published. That's a whole nother story. So searching for a publishing company was a completely new experience for me. And the biggest challenge was that they all said, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you this, but since you're listening and you're my friend, they all said, "No, thanks. Go away, miss. Come back when you make some sales." Yikes, that was painful. Well, after repeated rejections of everyone saying no to publishing my music theory books, there was only one thing left that I could do. And maybe by now you figured it out. I became a publisher. Exactly. So if everyone says no, just create your own company. That's the way I rock and roll. So I created Gloryland Publishing Company, and I never looked back. As a publisher, I had full control over printing, revisions, pricing, and promotions. And fortunately, teachers loved the Ultimate Music Theory series. And in fact, one teacher loved them so much, she sent me an email asking me if I ever needed an editor, she would love to join me. Well, that teacher's name is Sheila McKibben-Uren. And not only did she become my editor, she became my co-author on many of our 60 books, writing blogs and content for our Ultimate Music Teachers membership, and eventually the examiner of our Ultimate Music Theory certification course for teachers. So the next venture was being a course creator. And what I realized when I was presenting workshops and traveling across North America, presenting workshops on music theory and my books. And I realized that teachers were actually looking for answers in how to teach music theory effectively and productively and profitably. And in our live presentation in one of our Ultimate Music Theory certification courses, one teacher, Joanne Barker, had an exceptional skill for creating games. And I loved her creativity so much, I invited her to join the Ultimate Music Theory team as we added games into our Ultimate Music Theory workbook series. And Joanne also created content and games for our Ultimate Music Teachers membership. She's brilliant. And I am so proud of our Ultimate Music Theory team as we continue to grow. So as teachers were searching for answers, I too was searching for connections and learning more about music education and created the Global Music Summits. I was networking with master teachers from around the world as we presented unique perspectives on music education. And the Global Music Summits are incredible. I learned so much. The success of the Global Music Summits led me to create the Power of Why Musicians series, which is 5 books in the series, all international bestsellers that are 125 stories of musicians and composers and educators and course creators that all share their story of humble beginnings and what they had to go through in order to achieve the success that they have to today. So if you haven't checked them out yet, I'll leave a note in the show notes, the Ultimate Music Theory workbooks and the Power of Why Musicians series. It's an incredible series. I'm so proud of that series. One of the other things that it led me to was to create the UMTC Elite Educator Program. So the Elite Educator Program, I realized that, you know what? I need to help music teachers. And the UMTC Elite Educator Program is combining the elements of how to teach music theory productively with how to teach music theory groups for profitability, using strategic marketing systems for music teachers, because I wanted to help teachers grow. And it's really exciting to see the success of music educators all around the world in our programs. So, as I mentioned, my passion is about sharing ideas worth spreading. And when the opportunity came for me to share my story in my 2021 TEDx talk on the 3 secrets to unlock your student success, I was greatly honored and really ignited another passion in me, because I realized that there are musicians and music teachers around the globe that are all searching for answers, and we need to help those teachers. I also had the privilege to share another presentation in my 2022 TEDx talk on overcoming the overwhelm and how to untangle the strands of your life to live with passion and purpose. And as I reflect on my life's journey so far, I want to share one more thing with you. And that is, as I believe, the key to success. The key to my success as a music entrepreneur has always been based on 3 things that I want to share with you. One is to always implement an EPD, never ending professional development. The key word being implement. Goal setting is one thing, but in order to achieve the goal, you must learn and implement the strategies of success to reach it. Otherwise, it's just good intentions, but you're not actually achieving your goal if you don't implement those strategies that you have learned. Number 2 is to always have a dream and dream big. My mom used to say to me, if you're not scared, you're not dreaming big enough. And as you choose to get closer to achieving your goal, you need to set your sights on your next big dream so that you're always moving your life forward with passion and purpose. So always have a dream and always dream big. And number 3 is to always have a coach or a mentor or a thought leader that can take you where you want to go faster, higher, and simpler. I acknowledge all the teachers, mentors, and coaches in my life that have helped me in my entrepreneurial journey, and I continue to learn from them to this day. Now, I also want to thank my family for their continued support, along with my incredible Ultimate Music Theory Dream Team. My Ultimate Music Theory Dream Team, we now span over 5 different countries. And so it's 5 different time zones, which can get confusing when we're having our team meetings, but we make it work. I'm so proud of them. And I'm so grateful for their vision of what's possible and how can anyone go from being just a music teacher to becoming an ultimate music teacher entrepreneur. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to the Ultimate Music Teachers Productivity and Profitability Podcast. If so, please share, comment, and connect with us on who you'd like to hear from or what you'd like to learn about, because we'd love to hear from you. So all the details are in the show notes. Now you know a little bit about me, so make sure you leave some notes, a little bit about you. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, teach with passion. Thanks for listening to the Ultimate Music Teachers Productivity and Profitability Podcast. Together, we can transform lives through the power of music education. I invite you to explore what's possible for your musical journey inside our UMT community. Simply join our Ultimate Music Teachers private Facebook group, where we network, answer questions, host live events, and connect on a deeper level. Here's to your ultimate music teaching success with productivity and profitability. Till next time, teach with passion.